What is up, Tan and J-Man Show Nation? It's Monday night. It's 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you know what that means. A brand new episode of the Tan and J-Man Show, streaming live on the IC Sports Network, along with the IC Sports Network X page and YouTube channel, and the Tan and J-Man Show Facebook page. Give us a like, give us a follow, give us subscribe, give us 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform. All that good stuff if you haven't already. J-Man, what's going on? It's hard to believe this is our last episode of July.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, MLB Trade Deadline tomorrow. Already seen some moves, and this is by far the best trade deadline out of any of the sports. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here the next 24 hours or so.
Yeah, I'd say this one's the best, followed by the NBA,
Mm-hmm.
and then the NFL. Because NFL, there's a few moves, but it's usually nothing huge.
Yeah. It's a little more difficult going to an NFL team mid-season than it is. I mean, you can just go play baseball, play basketball.
True.
It's a lot easier.
True. Very true. Very true. But the Olympics going on. Have you watched a lot of the Olympics?
No. I've watched. It's mainly just like Sunday afternoon background sort of deal.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of volleyball I watched. I think it was Serbia and Canada. They just happened to be on. Other than that, I haven't really watched a whole lot, to be honest. I didn't watch any of the USA basketball. I did watch a little bit of France and Brazil, and Brazil hung in there. I'd only heard of one player on Team Brazil, and of course, France has a pretty good team. All 5 guys have played in the NBA, and Brazil hung in there, and they're even. I think they were winning at halftime or pretty close at halftime, but then France kind of pulled away. That's about my extent of the Olympics watching so far.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the USA basketball game yesterday. I watched Simone Biles yesterday a little bit. She's pretty incredible. That's what my wife wanted to really watch, the gymnastics. I haven't caught too much of anything else. I seem like when I log on to Peacock and I'm watching everything, I realize most of the stuff on there is replays of what's already happened.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll catch up on more this week. Maybe I'll make it more a priority. I don't know. I mean, I'm one of those guys. I don't hate watching the Olympics by any means, but I don't get real fired up for it either.
It's fun to have it on,
Yeah.
even because there's usually nothing on in July, August, heading into football season. So it's kind of nice to have a little bit of some sort of athletic competitions to watch. But
I did see Chase Budinger dominated for the men's volleyball against France.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They probably need to get more NBA players in there. But I very much remember back when Chase Budinger was in college, there was all these stories about how he was an incredible volleyball player in high school and all of that, and he just happened to play college basketball. Now here he is in the Olympics for volleyball.
Yeah, it's really cool story. But I thought the same thing too when I saw the highlights of him on social media. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he played high school volleyball. I'm pretty sure he was really good.
Yeah.
So, which boys high school volleyball is becoming bigger and bigger across the country. I know in Indiana now it is this upcoming school year. It's the first year they are a recognized sport.
That's cool.
IHSA, that and girls wrestling.
That's
both.
That's cool.
Yep. So very, very cool.
Yep. Before we get any farther, I do have some birdie bogey for you.
Hey, let me get 3 strokes down. Fantastic.
We are doing our ACC college football preview today, so I have an ACC question for you.
Boy.
Since 2011, every single year in the ACC football championship game, it has been won by either Clemson or Florida State, except one year. Who was that one team that won the ACC championship? That was not Clemson or Florida State. I think Clemson's won like 4 and Florida State like 6 or 7, whatever. Florida State's won more. But this one team bucked the trend a little bit for just 1 year. And then it came back to Florida State or Clemson. So, but Birdie Bogey is brought to you by Arlington Public House. Arlington Public House has upscale cuisine and cocktails with a casual atmosphere. Located 703 Main Street in Rochester, Indiana. Monday night is pizza night. Dill pickle, margarita, pepperoni, cheese. Get some pizza. Get some za.
I'd go for some za right now. I'm pretty hungry.
Always can. Always can.
Yep. You hit on it in the birdie or bogey question. We're going to be doing our ACC preview. It's so weird that conference still called the Atlantic Coast Conference,
Yeah.
with additions of some of these schools that we'll be talking about. But
yeah, Stanford and Cal.
Yep.
It's weird. Even
SMU.
SMU.
Yep.
Yeah, that's weird as well. But
the Big Ten's got 18 teams, but the Big 18 just doesn't roll off the tongue like the Big 10.
it doesn't. I mean, Big Ten's a national brand. So is ACC, though. So that's why I'm sure
And
they
Big
didn't
12. Yeah.
in the Big 12 and the
Yep.
SEC.
Yep.
So, but hey, so is the Big East.
That's true.
That's no longer for football.
That's true. That is true. So yeah, you were talking about it earlier. MLB Trade Deadline. I haven't been following it real close, but I have seen there's been quite a few moves made. Why don't you catch me and the rest of the Tan J Man Show Nation up with what the Cubs have done and some of the bigger moves around the league?
So the Cubs have probably made the biggest move so far around the league, trading for Isaac Paredes from the Tampa Bay Rays. It's actually has come full circle now, as he was in the same international free agency class as Christopher Morel was, and the Cubs traded Christopher Morel for Paredes yesterday. And then he was in South Bend, and the Cubs traded Paredes to the Detroit Tigers in 2017 at the deadline for Justin Wilson and Alex Avila, and now he's back. So he's only 25 years old. He's just a few months older than Chris Morel. I really wanted, and I'm sure the Cubs really wanted Morel to work. And, he has this high offensive upside. He has like the third fastest bat in baseball. He hits the ball hard, but here we are 4 months into the season. He's hitting a $199 with a below league average OPS, and he's played a miserable third base. And that was the thing coming into the year. Start Morel at third base, see what you got. Well, here we are 4 months in, and you're having to play guys like Miles Mastroboni at third when like Justin Steele starts.
Yeah, what a name.
It's a good name, not a very good baseball player. He is good defensively at third, I'll give him that. But it was definitely it's hard to give up on a guy like Morel because you see all the tantalizing tools. I mean, he throws 95 miles an hour across the diamond. He has extreme power. He's cut down on his strikeout rate. He's raised his walk rate. But eventually you are who you are, and that's a 199 hitter right now. And so they trade for a guy who just made his first career All-Star game a few weeks ago. And Paredes, who has an interesting style to him. He is an extreme pull hitter, which you don't see guys like this do very well in baseball. And it'll be interesting coming to Wrigley, as they have the furthest distance between home plate and the left field foul line out of any ballpark in the league.
That's a good trade question.
To Tampa Bay, who has, I think it's 312 down the line or something like that. So they said he would have hit 5 less homers so far this year had he played at Wrigley. That doesn't factor into, wind blowing out. I think he'll be helped by the power alleys at Wrigley, which are pretty short. But they add a proven middle of the order bat in Paredes, who's only 25 years old, under team control for the next 3 years. And he plays a good third base too. So you don't have to, take Morel out in the 7th inning when they're winning, or have him DH exclusively. So far I like that one. They also made a low risk, high reward sort of trade with Nate Pearson, who was a Toronto Blue Jay. Throws hard out of the pen. He hasn't had a very good year, but he's striking out a ton of guys, hasn't walked many. He's just been hit hard, which is weird for a guy with his sort of stuff. So he's only 27 years old, under team control for a few years, didn't give up a whole lot for him. So far it looks like Cubs have kind of been buying, if you want to call that. Now I think come tomorrow at the deadline, we'll see guys like Mike Tauchman go, and Hector Neris and Mark Leiter Jr., potentially Jameson Taillon. He is scheduled to start here in about 30 minutes, and he has not been scratched as of yet. I know he was guy 4 teams were kind of interested in: Astros, Red Sox, Yankees, and Orioles. And I want those Yankees, Orioles, and Red Sox to get into a bidding war with him. But as of right now, he's scheduled to start. And if he starts tonight, I think he won't be traded at all. Elsewhere around the league, we saw Eric Fetty from the Chicago White Sox, the miserable, one of the worst teams ever, Chicago White Sox.
Yeah, they I don't know if they're going to win 40 games.
They would have to win 13 more.
I know there's a lot of season left, but it's just like, because, I mean, they're going to, and maybe they already have, they're going to end up calling more guys up from the farm system towards the end of the season, so they're probably not going to win with those guys.
That might actually help them, honestly.
How bad has this year been, this whole last calendar year for Chicago sports?
Hasn't been good.
Professional sports.
Cubs were supposed to, be good, and here we are. They're mediocre at best, and maybe they'll get hot like they did last year, but it remains to be seen. White Sox, I would venture to say they are worse than that 03 Detroit Tigers team that went 43-119. I think that, they'd have to win 16 more games the rest of the year, and I just don't see it. Especially they'll likely be trading Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert at the deadline. Then they got nothing up there. The Bulls continue to stay in that mediocre, never get over the hump.
9-10 seed playing.
Finally, it looks like they're going to tear it down, which is the smartest thing they could do. Blackhawks are terrible, but honestly, on paper, they probably have the best future.
They got a bright future. Yeah.
Terrible picks. DePaul basketball, you can even throw them in there. Northwestern's not in the city of Chicago.
At least DePaul, maybe Holtman can get them going a little bit.
That was a good hire, respectable hire. Gives them a little bit of validity there in Chicago, maybe. But it's been pretty poor. Bears, terrible last year. I know they have some hope. I saw one guy today had him going 12-5.
There was a pass Caleb Williams made the other day, and guys are like, he's one of two guys in the world that can make that pass. It's like it's training camp. The pads weren't on. It's like let's just pump the brakes, everybody.
This is why they get to where they are. This is why Bears fans get where they are. They hype somebody up so early, and then they give up on him in 2 years when he's not as good as they were hoping he'd be. Next Patrick Mahomes. So
I saw a good thing on Instagram. I think it was Instagram today that said the timeline between when Robert Downey Jr. was revealed as Iron Man and now as Dr. Doom. The Bears won one playoff game between all those years.
You know how many the Dolphins did? 0.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but what other moves have caught your eye around the MLB? I know we kind of went down a Chicago sports rabbit hole there, but
as I said, Eric Fetty going from White Sox to the Cardinals. Cardinals traded Tommy Edman to the Dodgers, and then White Sox got a whole bunch of middling prospects. They could have gotten more. Elsewhere around the league, I know I'm missing something fairly big. Jazz Chisholm going from the Marlins to the Yankees 10 years ago. This deal would have never happened. He has too much flash. But now it'll be interesting to see how he fits in with that culture there.
He did help their World Series odds in Vegas a little bit.
He's solid. It'll be interesting, though, the first time he pimps a homer, whether somebody corners him and tells him, we don't do that here. We're boring here in New York. Shave your head. But other than that, Orioles made a middling trade for there's been relievers traded. No huge names traded yet. It'll be interesting to see what the Blue Jays do with Vlad.
I know Vlad. I was going to say, Vlad's the one I've been kind of keeping my eye on because you've been hinting at it for a while.
Haven't heard anything on him yet. So, but again, I didn't see the Cubs trading for Paredes yesterday and trading Christopher Morel at that. Going forward, it sounds like Taillon's going to make a start tonight, so I don't think he'll be traded. Nico Horner's a guy that's been mentioned. He could potentially be a trade bait, and even Seiya Suzuki's name's been kind of mentioned. So it'll be an interesting 24 hours or so because you can't just sell. You can't trade Justin Steele. You got to at least and honestly, Hoyer should be doing this for his job. He shouldn't have a job, but here we are. And it looks like he's very safe.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think his actions this past week or two are showing that he's probably pretty safe?
Probably for this year, but I think he should have a little bit of urgency going into the offseason and into next year. Because if they're trading guys away next July, there's no way any rational owner, which Cubs don't have one.
Well, there you go.
Would keep him on. So hopefully it just gets better because this has been just depressing.
Yeah, you can say hopefully a couple more times if you want. But anything else, MLB thoughts aside from the deadline? Anybody coming out of the gates hotter than you expected after the All-Star break? Anybody coming out
Um,
slower and colder than you expected?
the Orioles and Yankees are still playing bad baseball,
Yes, they
and
are.
it's crazy because they're very good.
It's really weird.
The Tigers have played very good baseball here since the All-Star break, but unfortunately, they're 12 games out of the Central, and they're going to start trading guys away. Other
Mets
than that,
lost 3
though,
of 4 to the Braves. That was pretty big swing.
yeah,
Just when their fans were starting to feel pretty good about things all of a sudden.
yeah, especially with how bad the Braves have been here recently. The Rangers are starting to play better baseball, only 4.5 out of a bad AL West, so it'll be interesting to see what they do the next couple days at the deadline. But other than that, it's kind of stayed about the same as where we were so far.
A lot more baseball talk coming in the next coming months
Yes,
on
sir.
the Tan J-Man show, for sure.
Yes, sir.
For sure. But do you want on this day this week, or do you want me to take it?
I have her pulled up, so
right.
I will do the on this day. On this day in 1921, Cleveland's 125th anniversary celebration, the city of Cleveland's 125th anniversary celebration. Cy Young, aged 54, pitched 2 innings.
54 years old.
54,
Pitched 2 innings. Wow.
I think other teams should do this. Have David Cohn come out, throw a few innings in a game for the Yankees. Have
David Wells. I'd rather see David Wells.
That's a good one. He's 60.
Boomer.
I'm trying to think of somebody who'd be in their 50s for the Cubs. Have Kevin Tapani come out, throw a couple innings for the Cubs. On this day in a lot of Tour de France. 1934, who won the PGA Championship men's golf tourney?
34? Let's go with Walter Hagen.
Paul Runyon.
Never heard of him.
He won in 38 holes. I don't know how that didn't play that many.
No, that's weird.
On this day in Old Timers Day on 1978, New York Yankees announced that Billy Martin will return for about his 12th time as New York Yankee manager in 1980.
He and Steinbrenner's relationship was just unbelievable.
On this day in 1986, a New York jury rules that the NFL violated antitrust laws and awards the USFL with $1 in damages.
$1.
$1. On this day in 1988, the Baltimore Orioles traded Mike Boddicker to the Red Sox for Brady Anderson and Curt Schilling.
Brady.
Steroid to the max.
And Curt Schilling too.
Yeah, probably Schilling too.
And he blocked J-Man on Twitter.
And he blocked me on Twitter a long time ago. He's the worst. He's still the worst. Let's be honest.
I haven't seen that guy on my television in years.
No, he's too busy following a former president around. On this day in 1991, the first Sunday night baseball game at Shea Stadium was played as the Mets beat the Cubs 6-0. Shea Stadium was a dump.
You just took it out of my mouth. I was going to say, I heard that place was a dump. Yeah. I've never been. I never had been.
I wasn't either.
Yeah. But I've heard Citi Field is a much upgraded experience.
It looks a lot better. On this day in 2001, who won the 88th Tour de France?
I'm going to guess Lance Armstrong.
No winner. Lance Armstrong was disqualified.
All right.
Gotcha.
Live strong.
On this day.
Did you have one of those bands?
Oh, yeah. Who didn't?
Yeah.
I remember the Cubs started making those kind of bands, too, and I wore a blue Cubs one. I forget what it said on it. But
man. I had Purdue ones. I had, they were all too big for my wrist, of course, so sort of sliding down here on my forearm. I wore, 3 of them at a time. Yeah.
2014, this is a big one in Cubsdom. Chicago Cubs catcher John Baker won the game on the mound, and he also scored the game-winning run on a walk-off sac fly by Starlin Castro. It was the longest game in Cubs history. I believe it was in the 16th inning against the Colorado Rockies. They ran out of pitchers. Catcher John Baker had to come in throwing 40 miles an hour, and I think he went 1, 2, 3. And then he somehow got on third with less than 2 outs and scored on a sac fly. They call it the John Baker game.
I believe we bet on that series, and I lost the bet.
You're used to losing to me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I owed you a 6-pack of beverage of your choice.
Coca-Cola,
if I remember
right?
correctly. Something
That'll
like that.
That'll be the On This Day for this week.
That is the On This Day segment, which is brought to you by this week, like it is every week, Mooney Woodcrafts. Mooney Woodcrafts is a veteran-owned and operated woodcraft shop based out of Texas with Indiana grassroots. They provide 100% hand-cut custom designs that fit your needs, and their pieces are a great addition to any home, office, or man cave. You can see some of their recently completed projects by visiting them at Mooney Woodcrafts on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you let them know the Tan and J-Man Show sent you, you get 15% off your first sign order. So I know I keep preaching it, but now we're almost at the end of July. It's going to be August next week when we're back on the air here. Christmas is getting closer. So make a good Christmas gift for that sports fan in your family, maybe that military member in your family, or maybe somebody who's just got married. Doesn't even have to be in your family. It can be good friends. So whatever you need made out of wood, that can do it. Tell them Tan and J-Man Show sent you 15% off your first sign order. Well, Pick 6 segment this week has to do with the ACC, since we're talking about the Atlantic Coast Conference tonight. So I found a list that named the best college football players from each of the ACC schools. And we'll start off with Boston College's Luke Kuechly.
Retired early. He was a heck of a linebacker, though. I'm surprised it was Kuechly over Matt Ryan.
I was too, but
can't argue, I guess.
Yeah, or Doug Flutie.
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah.
I mean one of the most famous college football plays.
He was a Buffalo Bill. That's maybe why I have that reaction to him.
Fair enough. Let's see here. Syracuse, Jim Brown.
Oh, Jimmy. Yeah, one of the greatest running backs, maybe pound for pound, the best running back in NFL history. One of the best football players ever.
Syracuse is, we all view it, I think, as more of a basketball school. But you look at their pedigree for NFL players, Jim Brown, Floyd Little, Ernie Davis, Donovan McNabb, Marvin Harrison. Pretty good lineage there. Yeah. Pumping out some good pros, especially from that running back position. Virginia Tech, Bruce Smith.
Oh, man. One of the greatest, maybe the greatest pass rusher ever. He or Reggie White. I think that is a record that will stand forever in the NFL, even with more games. I think his career sack record, pretty incredible.
Yeah, he had 200 over a 19-year career. And at Virginia Tech, he had 46.
Oh, man.
And 71 tackles for loss. So that's domination. That's domination here. Virginia, Rondé Barber. Not Tiki, Rondé.
Rondé, good, real good DB. Who do he play? He played for Tampa Bay?
Yes.
Is that where he played for? I think he's a Hall of Famer, too.
I believe he just got in, or is getting in. I think, this class. I think, or he got in last year.
Yeah, Tiki was the bigger name at the time because he played in New York, but Rondé was a much better football player. Tiki was like a 3-year wonder, in my opinion.
He had 15 interceptions during his time at Virginia across 34 games, but that's only third in program history, which is kind of crazy because usually if you get in the teens, that's usually number one. He had 8 picks as a redshirt freshman in 94, which is the second highest mark in program history. So I wonder they must have had a stud cornerback at one time, but he's rated number one on this list. So
you see these guys with huge pick numbers in college, and you just realize how much better the quarterback plays gotten in college football than it was back then, because it was still primarily like a running, sort of deal there.
Yep. And I'm going to break my pick 6 rule this week. I'm going to do a few more than 6 because there's these next 4 guys. I want your opinion on all of them. NC State, Phillip Rivers.
Phil, he likes having babies, I tell you.
Yes, he does.
He's got a lot of babies.
10, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it is 10. Good career. Will probably be a Hall of Famer because he has the numbers. We didn't really do anything. He never got to a Super Bowl. Did he even get to a conference championship game? I think he got to one.
Yeah, when he played on a torn ACL at New England.
That's right.
Yeah.
But he never had great teams around him, but he always did pretty well.
He helped the Colts team get to a playoff appearance in his 1 year there.
He did. He did.
Yeah. They went to 4 consecutive bowls under his guidance. They won 3 of them. He still holds Wolfpack records for career passing yards, 13,484, and career touchdowns, 95. Heisman Trophy winner for Louisville, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar. Yeah, electric. And looking back, he should have not fallen to, 31, 32, wherever he went in the draft. And 2-time MVP in the NFL. So
Yep, he's electric. I remember him, the season opener for the 2017 college football season for Purdue and Louisville. They played each other, Lucas Oil, and Purdue gave all the fight they could, but he was just too much in the end, and Louisville squeaked that one out. So, a few more here. Miami, Florida. Your Kings.
My Kings.
Ed Reed.
Arguably the greatest safety in history. I think you can put him right up there with a guy like Ronnie Lott. I remember, I think it was Peyton talking, like whenever you played the Ravens, you had to worry about 52, but the one guy you had to worry about is where's number 20? Where is he? And there was a play where they ran this play every single time. Their defense, whenever you'd run this certain sort of play, Ed Reed would go to the opposite side. And one time, Colts ran it, and Peyton said Ed Reed was right where he wasn't supposed to be, where I was supposed to throw the ball, like he knew. Like there was a predisposition of where I was going to throw the ball. And his instincts, and he was unbelievable.
He was the heart and soul of that 0-1 Miami team, which was one of the greatest college football teams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He still has several records at Miami, including 21 career interceptions, 389 career interception return yards, and 5 interceptions returned for touchdowns.
Pretty good.
And lastly, for tonight's pick 6, primetime Deion Sanders of Florida State.
Deion, he obviously unbelievable at Florida State, and then an unbelievable NFL career. He had a good baseball career on top of that. One of the greatest athletes we've ever seen, and maybe the most unlikable coach to ever don a college title. And that includes Brian Kelly, because Brian Kelly is still coaching college football.
Yep.
And Deion, I'm very excited to root against them. Very excited. And I think they're going to have a real hard time with North Dakota State in week 1.
Yeah, I think they don't realize how pumped up North Dakota State's got to be for that game. And North Dakota State's a pretty good
really
FCS
good
team. So
maybe they're like the Alabama or Georgia of FCS.
And I laugh, like Colorado fans, like, really, we should have been at least 5-7 last year. We shouldn't have lost to Stanford. When they had their 20-some point lead. I'm like, you shouldn't have beat Colorado State.
Absolutely.
Colorado State had that game won, so it evens out there. But yeah, man, I just laugh. I think they need to make a bowl game first before they're writing themselves in the playoff. But here we are.
Deion's going to leave before long.
Yep. So, but that is the pick 6 list tonight of some players that played at ACC schools, and it's brought to you by, like it is every week, Performer Print 2 Promo Group. If you're looking for a trustworthy, dependable resource for your next trade show, company picnic, or a sales meeting, Performer Print 2 Promo Group has over 50 years. Yes, it's 50 years combined experience in promotional products and commercial print. They strive for a fast and efficient response to all your print needs, so you need to look no further. Let them be your one-source print and promotional company today by giving Barbara Van Weinsberg a call at 574-210-3815.
ACC college football preview. We have reached our college football previews. It's hard to believe.
Yeah, we moved it up a week early, but for some scheduling reasons. But I'm glad we did, because it really helps fill out the time, and I'm ready to talk some college football.
Yeah.
Not only are we talking ACC, but we're also talking Notre Dame, because they're kind of partially in the ACC. They play 5 ACC games, at least 5 a year. So thought we'd throw the Irish in there as well, and we probably have a lot of Irish fans who listen to our podcast or watch our podcast every week. So why don't we start off with the Irish? Why don't we start off with the Irish, heading into Marcus Freeman's third year, and this schedule's right there for the taking for them. It is a, I mean, I'm known as a Notre Dame hater. I'm not gonna try to lie about my words here, but looking on paper, man, they should take advantage of this, especially at home, and they should be in the playoff.
They absolutely should. I think 11-1 might be their floor. Like I think they are legitimately really good. Lost Sam Hartman to the NFL. I don't know if he got drafted. I don't remember.
He did get drafted, I think, or picked up. I think he's on the, gosh, I want to say the Commanders, but now I'm thinking Panthers. But he also got drafted in the
USFL.
Yeah, so he can go there if he doesn't make the team.
They picked up Riley Leonard from Duke, who's had a couple really good years for Duke.
Should have had Notre Dame beat last year.
Absolutely should have, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles the prime time going from a basketball school to an extreme football school. So,
right, new offense coordinator in South Bend this year. Tommy Reese went down to Tuscaloosa to go, or that was this year, right? Yeah,
I think that was last year.
Was that last year?
I think so.
Was that last year? But they got a new offense coordinator anyways, coming from LSU. Now I can't find his name in my notes. Oh, Mike Denbrock. New OC from LSU. So defense should be really, really good on this team. Of course, they lost Jeremiah Love. Or no, Jeremiah Love's back and Jadarian Price. They should help ease the loss of Audric Estime, who's on the Denver Broncos now. So now I can root for him now. I could stand the last 4 years because he's just a truck of a running back. But they got some new receivers in the portal, Chris Mitchell and Bo Collins. And then Jaden Greathouse is back too. And of course, their tight ends, Mitchell Evans is one of the best tight ends in the country if he can stay healthy. They're tight end pretty much, them at Penn State. So, but yeah, looking at this schedule, man, Al Golden's coming back for year 2 on the defense, the old Temple coach in Miami, Florida coach, pulling up their schedule right now. Their hardest game, in my opinion, is week 1.
I agree.
It's College Game Day, August 31st, 7:30 at night at Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 1L I have them taking. I have the Irish going 11-1.
Me too. Yeah, I have them going 11-1, and the only loss, it's opening game for Elko there, who left from Duke and is now at Texas A&M. And that place will be absolutely rocking. You got a bunch of weirdos down there at Texas A&M doing dances on the sidelines and in the stands, and they have cult-like behavior there at A&M. And I think the Colt ultimately wins.
Well, it's like every year I look at Notre Dame's schedule. It's hard to not pick against them on the road, or at least think about, because they play so few road games. I about pulled the trigger on USC at the very end of the year.
Yeah,
but I just don't know what we're gonna get out of Lincoln Riley and USC this year.
Big year for Lincoln there.
Yep. Any other games that pop out that you're like they could lose this one?
Honestly, no.
Florida State at home. I mean, that's probably their toughest home game.
Sure.
It's a night game in November, though. Those Florida boys probably aren't going to like the South Bend weather November 9th.
Yeah.
Louisville, maybe, on September 28th, but Notre Dame should want revenge because Louisville kind of took them to the woodshed down in Louisville last year. But other than that, I mean, you got home games against Northern Illinois, Miami, Ohio, Stanford, Navy, and Army Army's, I think, the Shamrock Series. Navy's technically a road game, but it's in Baltimore. Virginia's at home. I mean, they really lucked out this year with they do play Florida State, but no Clemson, no Miami, Florida. I mean, really, they don't play too many teams from the middle up in the ACC even.
No.
So they do travel to Purdue. I hope that's competitive, but history tells me history tells me it'll be competitive at Ross State, but Notre Dame will win.
Is that a night game?
It's a 3:30 CBS game.
Okay.
So history tells me because usually Purdue can keep competitive in Ross State. South Bend, not always.
When's the last time Notre Dame played at Ross State? Was that the Turbush?
No, it was actually 2013.
Okay.
Daryl Hazel's third game at Purdue, and Notre Dame won by, I believe, it was either 7 or 10 points.
That's it.
Purdue actually played them really tough that night. It was one of Hazel's better coached games. But before that, it was the Turbush game 2011. This is the first out of 6 straight years they'll play. Purdue hasn't beat them since 2007. That was in Ross-Ade. That was against a 3-9 team quarterbacked by young Jimmy Clausen. So, yeah. But yeah, the Irish got to be pretty good. I mean, it hurts my soul to pick them 11-1, but I put 11-1 as my prediction, ceiling 12-0, and I had their absolute basement at 9-3. Absolute basement. That's losing like Florida State, USC, and A&M.
Yeah, they should be really good.
I mean, we have seen it though. I mean, Marshall got them at home 2 years ago, but of course that was Marcus Freeman's first year. But they should be really good. Xavier Watts, All-American. He's a beast on the defensive line. They also have Haywood Cross, a defensive tackle, cornerback Benjamin Morrison. I mean, they also got transferred Rod Hurd to second from Northwestern, Jordan Clark from Arizona State. So, and to complete their backfield. So, yeah, they're going to be Riley Mills is another one with him and Cross, a defensive tackle. Yeah, they're tough to run against on College Football 25. Let's put it that way. So if that translates into the actual games, they're going to be pretty good to go. So they do have to replace multi-year starters at linebacker, but Freeman's a linebacker at heart, so that's what he played in college. That's what he started. His first position coach was a linebacker spot at Purdue, so he knows linebackers pretty well. The weird thing, the weakness of this Notre Dame team might be the offensive line. That's weird to say because they're kind of a factory, but they have to replace 3 starters, including Joe Alt, who was an All-American and went in the top 15 of the draft.
Yeah.
So top 10 of the draft, actually, I think. So if they can keep Riley Leonard upright, they're going to be favored more times than not.
He's a different sort of quarterback than Hartman, because Hartman was extreme, pocket guy.
Yep.
And Leonard can run a little bit.
Sure,
so it'll be interesting to see how they can utilize him. It'll be probably exciting for Notre Dame fans to see something a little different there.
But Notre Dame's when we get to the final week of our predictions, which will be week 1 of the college football season, we'll do our full 12-team playoff field. But with 11-1 record, they're definitely in my playoff.
Yeah.
So. But who do you have winning the Atlantic Coast Conference this year, J-Man?
I have Florida State, even after, they lost Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Keon Coleman to the Bills, Johnny Wilson on offense. They get DJ Ugalugale from Oregon State, former Clemson guy.
He should fit right in.
He had a very good 2 years at Oregon State. They picked up Roydell Williams and Malik Benson from Bama, Marvin Jones, Cam Riley, Devontae Brown, and Earl Little on defense. They should be very good once again.
Yep. They should have revenge on their mind, in my opinion. They should have been in the playoffs last year. Would it have been ugly? Yes, but they should have got in.
Yeah, they earned it.
Mike Norvell, I'm sure he's preaching about that. But I actually have Florida State number 2. I have them number 2 in the ACC. I have the Clemson Tigers taking back the top spot in the ACC. And Dabo's he's not going anywhere. But he might need that because they're 30-10 since 2021. Most programs, they build a coaching statue. But not in Clemson. Not that since they won a couple natties. They're getting fired up there. But Garrett Riley's in his second year as offense coordinator, so that should help. There's a lot of new things going on with the offense there. Cade Klubnik's back. Phil Maffa, I believe is how you pronounce his name, at running back, coming back. Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore, really good wide receivers. Defense only returns 2 starters, though. So,
they're always good defensively. They'll be led by Barrett Carter this year.
Right.
They did lose Will Shipley on offense, which will hurt. The offense was bad, and it almost feels like with the NIL transfer portal that the game is starting to pass Dabo by quickly. He refuses to use the portal for one, does not have a single transfer on the 3 deep depth chart.
Yeah.
And that'll catch up with him eventually.
You have to use it a little bit. You don't have to use it a ton. I don't think if you're a program like Clemson, we got to get it in there a little bit. I understand wanting to still have, true freshmen on your team and wanting to build that culture. You build the culture and build those leaders and everything. But you like you said, you're going to get passed by if you don't get in the portal a little bit. So too much talent out there.
Especially after how bad they were on offense last year.
Yep.
And I don't think Klubnik's that great of a quarterback. So
but
I have them finishing 4th.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm either going to look smart or really, really dumb having them number 1.
I have my Canes finishing
second. Number 3.
This is the year that Cristobal actually gets them rolling.
He needs it. He needs it.
He does. They've recruited so well too. They picked up Cam Ward from Washington State, 61 total touchdowns the past 2 years.
It come from an air raid offense though to not so much of an air raid offense. That'll be interesting.
Yeah. They had bad quarterback play from Tyler Van Dyke last year, who's at Wisconsin now. Loaded up on defensive transfers led by Michelle Brown, Simeon Barrow from Michigan State. This should be the year. Fan interest in Miami Hurricane football is non-existent these days.
Yeah, they also got Damian Martinez, who's a stud running back in Oregon State last year. Talk about a program that was decimated by people leaving Oregon State. Of course, their coach left for Michigan State, so that was predictable. But I was looking. There's a couple teams in ACC that took guys from Oregon State. So, like you said, the biggest concern is on the defense side of the ball for Cristobal, and that's with the secondary. He lost a lot of secondary to graduation or the pros. So we'll see there. They did get Simeon Barrow on the interior line from Michigan State. Good player there. So it'll be interesting down there in Miami.
I have NC State finishing 3rd.
They're my 4th.
Picked up transfer Grayson McCall from Coastal Carolina, who's had a great career at Coastal Carolina. 88 career touchdown passes. Jordan Walters transferred from Duke, 1,600 career rushing yards, and returned quite a bit on defense.
Yeah, they also got transfers. Noah Rogers from Ohio State. People might remember him. Wesley Grimes from Wake Forest, and Justin Joly from UConn. I mean, UConn's putrid, but Joly is one of their better players. And then Jordan Waters had 819 yards at Duke last year. He should be their starting running back. 4 starters return to the trenches, and Notre Dame transfer Zeke Corral is going to be at center. They're one spot they don't have a returning starter, so their offensive line should be really good there in Raleigh. Their defense has ranked inside the top 3 in the ACC in fewest points allowed every year since 2021. So, if defense is good, it's going to keep you in ball games. Tony Gibson's a really good defense coordinator there. So we should see. We shall see how it goes. But Dave Doran's done a heck of a job there since 2013.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So who do you got? Oh, you got Clemson, number 4. So who you got number 5?
I have Louisville.
I have Jeffrey Brahms, Louisville Cardinals as well.
Won 10 games last year. They loaded up in the portal. 8 of their 11 projected offensive starters came from the portal. Led by Tyler Shaw. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I believe.
Shaw.
7th-year QB.
Yeah, from Texas Tech. He can run a car if he wanted to. Jeff Brom, inherited a decent situation there. Much better situation than he inherited at Purdue, and he built them into a pretty solid program in his days. But now, just loading up again. We'll see if he can replicate what he did last year.
Yep. I think they'll be pretty good. I know he's gonna love himself some transfer portal. That's for sure. Defense should be a strength, which that's just still blows my mind with Ron English, but that's all right. They return a lot on the defensive side of the ball, so we'll see. I probably won't root as hard against Louisville as I did last year. It's 2 years now. The Band-Aid's been ripped off. Well, and Jack Plummer was their quarterback last year.
Yeah, that didn't help matters.
And then the fact that they were a win away from getting in a big-time bowl.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
They also had a pretty good running game, which was not something they had at Purdue either.
They did. So, yes. So it'll be interesting down there. I will be rooting for them against Notre Dame. I can guarantee that. So, who do you have number 6?
I have Virginia Tech finishing 6th.
I have SMU, one of the newcomers to the ACC.
I have SMU finishing 7th.
I got Virginia Tech 7th. So
Vautech won 5 of their last 7 games. Kyron
Yeah.
Drones could be a Heisman dark horse. 17 touchdown passes, over 800 yards rushing. It's been a while since Virginia Tech's been really good at football. And the college game, I hate even saying like, oh, so-and-so's better when so-and-so's good. But it feels like the college game is better when Virginia Tech is good.
Yeah, the only time I watched Virginia Tech last year was against Purdue after like a 7-hour rain delay. Which, thank goodness that happened, or Purdue probably wasn't going to win that game because when it restarted, there was like half the crowd there. But yeah, Vautech, I agree with you. They need to be good for the ACC in particular, but also for college football.
Yeah.
But I think momentum still can be something in college sports, even though the transfer portals kind of changed that, NILs changed that. I still think there's something to be said for winning 5 out of your last 7. Absolutely. Their defense allowed 23.8 points per game last year, 8 starters back on that defense, so that's always going to help.
Yeah.
SMU, I had them 6th. Who do you have 7th? You have SMU 7th, you said?
Yeah. Yep, they won 11 games in the AAC last year.
American Athletic Conference. Yeah, very good program for many years, but this is a step up now.
It is. They do get their quarterback back, who threw 28 touchdowns last year, and also their defensive end Elijah Roberts, who had 10 sacks last year. So again, step up. It'll be interesting to see how they can translate that over.
Yeah, I'm sure head coach Rhett Lashley's going to have some challenges, but they return 14 of their 22 starters. Yeah. So that's an advantage.
Yeah.
So, offense is always going to lead the way with that program. I just feel like it's a program that's identified by their offense. Their defense gave up 33.8 points per game in 2022, but last year only 17.8.
Yeah.
Big time improvement. So we will see. Who do you got finishing 8th?
Georgia Tech.
I got Georgia Tech 10th. I got North Carolina.
I'm the high man on Georgia Tech. They returned Haynes King, who threw 27 touchdowns and ran for 10 touchdowns. Also returned Jamal Haynes, who ran for over 1,000 yards. So they should be able to put up some points. It's all about defense.
They also returned 4 offensive line starters. I remember watching them against Louisville last year. They probably should have beat Louisville. They were driving to win the game, and Haynes King got strip sacked from behind. Brent Key exceeded expectations last year, took over a program that had been down in a while, led him to a 7-6 season with a bowl win, of course, 4-4 in the ACC. They do have a tough schedule. They play 11 bowl teams, including Florida State, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, Louisville, and Miami. So it is going to be a tough schedule, but they can put up some points. So in my 8th spot, I had North Carolina. They're 17-10 over the last 2 years, but they've had slides in November the last 2 years, and that's kept Mac Brown's team from finishing in the top 25. They need to find a quarterback to replace Drake May. Easier said than done when you're replacing a quarterback that was taken 3rd overall in the NFL draft, but they have a favorable schedule. And they got some transfers. They actually have 3 guys that should be competing for quarterback. One's transferred from Arkansas, one transferred from Texas A&M, Max Johnson, and Jacoby Criswell, and then Connor Harrell as well. But it looks like the running game is going to be the name of the game. Omarion Hampton, one of the better running backs. He's, I believe, preseason all ACC running back. So
I have them finishing 9th. Obviously, you lose your quarterback to a top 3 pick in the New England Patriots. But Omarion Hampton, 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns last year. Really good tight end, and Bryson Nesbitt as well. So whoever wins that quarterback spot, which I read it's projected Max Johnson right now from A&M. We'll have some weapons. He threw 9 touchdowns last year for A&M. A bad team.
Jeff Collins, new defense coordinator, replacing Gene Chizik. Gene Chizik probably should never get any job in college football ever again. It's got to be the worst head coach to ever win a national title.
He lucked in to Cam Newton.
Yes, he did. He's the Kevin Ollie of college football. But they ranked 11th in stopping the run to ACC last year. But edge rusher Kamen Rucker had 8.5 sacks. And Powers Ecklos, what a name there. They're 2 returning standouts on the defense side of the ball.
Yeah.
So, who do you have number 9?
I have North Carolina 9, Georgia Tech 8.
Okay, who do you have 10?
I have Boston College 10th.
Oh, this is not going how I was. Oh, I got Boston College 13th and Cal 9th. I was hoping we'd have the same team there. So
they lost their head coach to the Green Bay Packers to be defensive coordinator. They hired Billy O'Brien, old
Bill
friend.
O'Brien. Yes,
they should put up a lot of points. They have Castellanos, Robichaud, and Treshaun Ward in the backfield that could put up a ton of points. But defensively, who knows? Who knows how they'll be?
Yeah, they allowed on defense last year 32.6 points in the ACC play and ranked near the bottom of the league in stopping the pass and the run.
Yeah,
they do have new defense coordinator, of course, coming in with Bill O'Brien and his new staff. So it's going to be weird to see Bill O'Brien back in the college landscape. It's been a while since he was the head coach at Penn State, because since then he's been head coach at the Houston Texans, then office coordinator at both New England Patriots a couple times and at Alabama. Yeah. So, yeah, but now he is back. He is back. I have them 13th. 9th spot, I have Cal. I have another newcomer to the ACC there.
I have Cal 13th.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt to the ACC and the extra travel schedule. But Justin Wilcox's team is looking for their first winning season since 2019. It's been a rough couple of years there in Cal, not only for football, but for basketball as well. They used to be pretty good defense, but in 2021 they held teams at 22.3 points per game, but last year 32.8.
That's bad.
Last year, so they do have 8 starters coming back. I don't know if that's good or not, coming back from a defense that gave up 32.8 points per game. They've had some pieces in the portal too.
Yeah.
So we will see. New offensive play caller, as their former OC left to become the OC at Baylor. So. North Texas transferred Chandler Rogers is good. It should be their new quarterback, it looks like. So, and then Jaden Ott, and the website I took notes off, called him the most underrated running back in the country.
1,300 yards and 12 tutties last year. But again, traveling across country, it'll be really interesting.
And they got Tobias Merriweather from Notre Dame as one of their top wide receivers. So Notre Dame fans might remember him. I think he was like a 5th or 6th guy in Notre Dame. That's the beauty of the portal.
Yeah,
some of these guys that are very talented but lost in the depth chart, one place can go and move right up to the depth chart of that new place. So So I got Georgia Tech 10th. Did you already say who you had 10th?
Boston College.
Boston College. Who do you got 11th?
I have Syracuse.
I have Syracuse as well. All right, we're back on the same page.
They fire Dino Babers, and they hire Fran Brown as their new head coach. They got transfer Kyle McCord from Ohio State, which he'll find life a little more difficult with Mel Harrison or Egbuka to throw the ball to. Have a really good running back. LaQueen Talon returns with 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns last season.
Yeah,
they struggle defensively. They always
yes they do. New defensive coordinator Elijah Robinson plans to shift the unit to a 4-2-5 scheme, which is always an interesting one. So we'll see. They'll put up some points, but can they stop people?
Right.
Who do you got 12?
I have Duke.
I got Pitt.
Okay. Mike Elko left for A&M. They hired Manny Diaz, who keeps getting jobs as a head coach. They also lost Riley Leonard, Jordan Waters, and Aeneas Peebles, and R.J. Oben to the portal. It's a tough job anyway. And Cutcliffe did a fantastic job making them respectable, and Elko did a very good job taking over for him and obviously getting a bigger job. I had a habit of putting the West Coast teams further down than they probably should be. So that's why Duke's 12th.
Yeah, Manny Diaz, prior stint as Miami from 19 to 21. He's 21 and 15 as head coach. He does get a truck for a quarterback in Texas transfer Malik Murphy. The dude's built like a house. But Duke allowed the fewest points in the ACC last year at 19. But I don't know if that's going to carry over. But I have Duke 16th. I just think they have a lot to replace there.
Yeah.
So,
I have Pitt 14th. So
Pitt's coming off a 3-9 record. Their first losing season since 2017. Narduzzi's not on the hot seat, but if they don't make a bowl game this year, he might be. Offense was the biggest priority in the offseason because they only averaged 20.2 points per game last year and 5.3 yards a snap.
Yeah.
So New offensive coordinator Cade Bell coming from Western Carolina. And they're going to try to play a fast tempo this year. So we'll see. Defense also was not very good last year, giving up 27.4 points per game, highest mark since 2018. So
15th, I have Wake Forest.
I have Wake Forest 14th.
They have not recovered since Sam Hartman's departure, and that's a tough job. I think it's the smallest school in the Power Four. At least it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's still the case with all the movement.
Tough to get in academically.
Yeah.
They have a former Boise State and Louisiana Tech transfer Hank Bitchmeyer will battle true freshman Jeremy Hekelinski and senior Michael Kern for the starting quarterback job. So they only threw 6 touchdown passes in ACC games last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And
they've lost a lot of good players too to other teams.
Sam Hartman. I think Sam Hartman has the ACC record for touchdowns, and you lose him. So,
Yep.
It's pretty rough.
I had Wake up 14 to 15 out of Virginia.
Okay, I have them 16th. So, 3-9 last year, lost their best player to the Dolphins in the 6th round. He had over 100 catches, 1,500 yards. They were terrible defensively last year, over 30 points a game given up, and it has not looked good there so far. For I think Tony Gibson's there. As their head coach. So
no, Tony Elliott.
Tony Elliott.
Tony Elliott.
I knew it was a Tony something.
Notre Dame transfer Chris Tyree will be another one of those guys that was lost in depth chart. Notre Dame should be one of their top playmakers at wide receiver there for the Cavaliers. So,
I think we're down to the last team here, which we both have Stanford.
Yep, one of the newcomers.
Yeah.
Just don't see much there.
No. They had the second worst scoring defense in college football last year, on top of a bottom 25 offense, and it's amazing they won 3 games. Honestly, they went 3-9.
They gave up 38 points per game on defense, and allowed 6.6 yards a snap in Pac-12 play.
Yeah, that's bad.
7 starters are back on the defense. Once again, don't know if that's good or bad though.
Hopefully, they were all freshmen last year, and now they're older.
They do return a wide receiver that had a 1,000-yard season last year.
Okay.
So, kind of surprised that guy didn't go anywhere in the portal, but you don't.
Something. Well, I mean, that Stanford education's hard to come by. So
true. So, yeah, that's the ACC. We'll keep tabs and see how badly our predictions age this year in the ACC.
Yeah, they usually end very poorly anyway. So
it's hard, it's tough, but it's fun. It's fun to talk about, and it's fun to see. Oh, I forgot that guy landed there. Oh, I forgot that coach is at that school now. Oh, I forgot that guy's at OC or DC. So
it's so hard to follow college football transfer portal stuff.
Yeah.
College basketball's a little easier. That's difficult too.
Yep.
Birdie bogey time. How you feeling about this one?
I'm feeling good, but that's got me scared.
Since 2011, Clemson and Florida State have won every single ACC college football championship game, except one year. Who was the one school that bucked that trend?
I think it was Kenny Pickett and Pitt.
It was. You got a birdie. You're back in it. For bonus points, can you name the year?
2020.
No, I'm dropping you back down. You get a par.
No.
It was 2019. It was 2021.
21. Okay.
But
I was trying to think how many years he's been in the league, and I could blank. So.
After I did the trivia question, I'm like, well, no one else has been good, really. I mean, you could have maybe said Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Miami had a good year.
Miami popped off to me at first with the chain that year and everything, but they kind of faltered at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So,
Kenny Pickett, who is now with the Philadelphia Eagles. But,
yes.
Thanks for watching the Tan and the J-Man Show. Tan and J-Man Show will be back next Monday with another episode. Have a fantastic week, everybody.